Good evening. Well, good afternoon, everybody. How you all doing today?
I'm good, man.
Yeah, happy to hear it, man. You sound a little restraint there, June. Usually Wednesdays we got to hold you back, busting at the seams with energy.
It's
Dave,
been it's been a long day. It's been a long
long day, man. Yeah, it's only Wednesday, right?
right.
Yeah,
Hump
man.
day. Another day in paradise, baby.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Dave, our Vikings affiliate. What did you say? Executive producer, right?
That's
Over
right.
at Vikings First and Skull for Fans First Sports Network. Foster Child and June uh, handling the Detroit Lions for Fans First Sports Network, and me pay for the Bears, also at Fans First Sports Network at the Bear Claw Podcast.
The Bears. The Bears.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of a few things to get through today. First things first, I did want to mention that the schedule comes out next week. I know you guys are excited about that. That's another one of those football holidays. I can't.
Absolutely.
I know I cannot wait for that. I can set my schedule 6 months in advance based on what the NFL is doing. It's crazy how much power the NFL has over us.
Yep.
I can't. There's probably another separate conversation I have about that as far as the the control NFL has over all of its fans, but we don't care as of right now. We bend the knee to them vividly, and not just vividly, but we do it willingly. But we'll talk about the schedule in just 1 second. First things first. It's still the remnants of the draft is still with us. I did want to circle back on that just one more time, one final time before we get into rookie mini camps. As we do our show next week, and those will probably be toning down before they release the schedule. So only team from our division that's had their rookie minicamp is the Green Bay Packers so far. And as Dave, you said you've heard some mummerings coming from that fan base, overexcited delight, maybe.
You could put it that way. Yes, as normal Green Bay Packers fans, they're all excited and think they've got the, drafted top to bottom the next comings of Vince Lombardi on the football field type of deal. They couldn't be happier, and they're going to win everything 17-0 and march all the way to the Super Bowl. That's how Green Bay Packers fans roll.
Mm.
Plus, get them a beer and some cheese curds, and they're happy.
Oh, they need a library card. All right, so it's only one team has actually got to see their rookies in their team colors and in some pads. We don't need to talk about that in ad nauseum just yet. However, I do want to talk about rookies in general, most notably the quarterbacks. All six of them that was drafted at the draft a couple of weeks back. I did want to ask you guys, I want to pick you all's brains about how do you feel about situations you're being brought into, right? You have most recently, I've heard that Zach Wilson was doomed to fail because the situation he was brought into in New York was just not conducive to winning, right? I can agree to in some respects to that. I also don't think Zach Wilson was the greatest quarterback prospect that there was. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about situations. Of the six quarterbacks that was drafted, you got Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, Caleb Williams in Chicago, JJ McCarthy in Minnesota. Hi, Dave. You've got Bo Nix in Denver and not Caleb, but Jaden Daniels in DC. And the third one, Drake May, is going to New England. So, Foster, I'm going to start with you. You're our resident football guru. how did out of those 6 quarterbacks, who would you say is coming into the best situation to succeed day one?
Well, it's kind of weird to even speak on Michael Penix because obviously he's not going to start right away. So
Mhm.
I don't even know how to really evaluate that. But my initial thought is probably was Caleb Williams, just because he's got a plethora of receivers that he's got, with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and the rookie
Badoons.
Adunze. But I almost think that it might be JJ McCarthy, just because I feel like they already have a pretty balanced. Are going to have a pretty balanced attack with who went there? Jones? Who went to the running back?
Yeah, Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones. That's what his name. Aaron Jones. I feel like their offensive line is probably a little bit stronger, and then they have the best receiver in the world probably. So, and he's got he's going to have favorable weather for half of his games. He's going to be in the dome. So, right? Are they in the dome?
Yep.
Sorry.
At least 9 games out of the season.
Right.
Around the
So
Same
I
with-
mean, I feel like he has a lot going. I feel like he has a lot going for him in those regards. But Caleb Williams, I think, is right behind him as far as favorable scenarios. Outside of that, I mean, I think Jaden, between Daniels and May, they're probably May's probably is probably the least favorable. I can't even think of anybody they got over that way. So I know the Commanders have Gibson, the running back Gibson, but I think their slots are pretty close as far as the worst. And then I guess Penix has got a decent situation. I think they're pretty much a quarterback and some defense away from being successful. So.
Dave, I saw you pretty excited when you heard JJ McCarthy is number 1, right? Before I ask, do you agree with that? I do want to ask one thing, because I was watching the Real Frono show. I think it was last week. Real Frono show is Vikings First and Skull offering on their YouTube channel. Do you foresee JJ McCarthy actually starting week 1?
No, I do not. Now, could he? Yes, that's possible. This is something we've talked about. He's Kevin O'Connell, our head coach, and who obviously calls plays, along with Josh McCown, is going to make sure that he fills certain boxes, like training, that he can take snaps under center, that he can run an RPO, that he knows the right reads, that he's throwing on target to Justin Jefferson and the Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and everybody. All that stuff is working, and he's can do it, does it well, can read the defense, read the reads for the wide receivers, etc. And once he checks all those boxes, he'll come into play unless Sam Darnold gets hurt before that. But I suspect Sam Darnold will be the starter week 1. Now, by the end of the season, I fully expect that JJ McCarthy will have met all those goals and will be put into the game. I don't think they're going to sit him for a year, unlike Atlanta.
A year might be on the short side for Atlanta, but
maybe 2. But the only way Penix plays in Atlanta is if Kirk Cousins still isn't healthy come week 1.
That's true.
That's a good. So you think he might not be ready even for the start of the year?
There's a possibility of that. Yes.
And maybe they didn't. Maybe they needed him.
I don't think that was the reason. I think it was dysfunction.
Listen. If they didn't need him, they didn't need to pay him $100 and X amount of dollars guaranteed.
Good point.
June, what about you, man? So give me, who do you think is the best situation for these? Which quarterback do you think is going to the best situation? And your worst?
It pains me to say it, but definitely JJ McCarthy going to Minnesota. And the reason why it's not a lot of pressure. Like they got Sam Bradford, right? Correct?
hmm
And
Arnold.
Sam Darnold.
I'm sorry, Bradford, Arnold, Darnold, whatever. USC, former USC quarterback. He doesn't have to be, if he's not ready, he's just not ready. You got Sam. Plus, like as Foster mentioned, with the running game, with the receivers that they have, with Justin Jefferson there, you've seen many quarterbacks get in that offense and just throw it to him, and he's going to go after it or be open, one or the other. So I think JJ has probably the best scenario, being that he doesn't have to be the man from day one. Now, that's not to say Caleb's not in a good situation either. I think he's a day one starter. I think he's going to go in there and start. And like I said, he has a plethora of receivers, and the defense had played pretty well for Chicago as well. So no, those two are 1A and 1B as far as the situation, because you look at Jaden Daniels. I don't know what Washington got going on over there. You got a new coaching situation with the Patriots, so you don't know how that's going to play out with Drake May. The Penix situation, does he play? That's just like, we were even shocked. All of us were shocked when they drafted him. So if there's questions about whether he should be there, I'm going to question whether how he fits, with that team as well when the season starts or when camp starts. So I just think if you're going to rank out of those quarterbacks, it'd be Caleb and McCarthy, 1A and 1B for various reasons.
I agree. I think they're neck and neck for best situations.
Mhm.
Starting out week one, the only difference to me, obviously, Caleb's a more pro, a higher prospect, right? He grades out a lot higher than JJ. The only difference for me is we know Caleb is week one starter. He's QB1.
Yeah.
The second they called his name. Well, he was QB1 the second they traded Justin off. They didn't need to call his name yet.
Well, if you draft a quarterback at number one, he should be a day one starter.
I agree. Some people say quarterbacks should wait a year. I don't think so. I think the game is a lot easier than it was in eras past. You can hit the ground running right now, right here, right now. Learn on the fly.
Also depends on draft position, what you expect of that player. Now, all of these guys got drafted 1 through 11. Now, 1 through 11. So,
yeah, that's correct. So the last quarterback taken off the board, Bo Nix. I know, Foster, you said Drake May is in the cellar, worst situation, bar none. No, there's no disagreement. Drake, I think, Dave, you agree with that? Joan, I don't think. I think you and Foster are lockstep in that. And Drake May is up easy,
and he's going to start week one.
He has to. Who else is going to start?
Mac Jones, right?
Brady Zip, whatever his name is.
Oh, Zappy.
Zappy, yeah. But what about Bo Nix? I think it's an interesting conversation to be had about his situation. He's got Sean Payton as his head coach. Sean Payton, everything I've read, he believes that Bo Nix is his guy, is his next quarterback that's going to lead him into I don't want to say promised land, but lead him to the upper echelons of the coaching hierarchy in the league. His new era Drew Brees, if you will. I don't want for that reason being said, they do have some offensive weapons there. They do have some stability, and they don't have any controversy on the quarterback room either. Because again, that quarterback room minus Bo Nix is pretty bad. He's going to start week one. I want to say that Bo Nix might be number 2 best situation coming out.
Slow down. No.
Mm-mm.
No. Well, this is me saying JJ and Caleb are number one. Both are number one.
Okay.
Oh,
And then putting right underneath that. Bo
Okay.
Nix.
Bo Nix.
Here's what I think, right? You had a quarterback situation there that you paid a lot of money for before last season, right? And you saw the rumblings on the sideline. You saw the disagreements to where ultimately it got him out of town. That's a lot of pressure for a rookie quarterback to go into that scenario where you've seen how they got rid of somebody you invested a lot of money into, and the coach just didn't get along with them. And that's a lot of pressure for him. I don't know if that's the best scenario I like for a rookie quarterback to walk into, knowing that they got rid of somebody that they invested that fast. Like, am I next if I do the same things? Or, I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know who I would put at number 2 as well. So,
But there's a difference there because Peyton did not select the previous quarterback,
I understand that.
where he did draft Nix. So there's more of an investment there.
I understand that, but I just don't foresee Nix coming in and being a better option than what you had. There's going to be some growing pains.
yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
So I don't know if it's Peyton's impatience or just a veteran messing up when it comes to Sierra's husband.
That was unnecessary, June.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's perfectly fine.
So the other two quarterbacks that we haven't spoke about, at least ad nauseum, there's Penix in Atlanta, and there's Jaden Daniels in DC. So I think we all can agree, Penix going into a situation with a team that I think they finished 7-10 3 years in a row, and quarterback 2 drafted number 8. I don't think that's a great situation. I mean, it's a great situation if you don't want to get your jersey dirty. That's cool. I mean, that's all. You cannot be in the top. You cannot be in the top 3 if that's your situation. In my opinion, you're squarely in the middle. Jaden Daniels in DC. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I can't say it's stock up, can't say it's stock down. I'm not sure. I think Jaden Daniels is terrific quarterback prospect. I think he's incredibly talented and he's super athletic. I just don't know what he can do with what they've got going. They got a new coach, new everything over there in DC. New owner who's been, I think this is his second season as the owner.
Yeah,
Terry McLaurin is still there. I think he's one of the top 15 wide receivers in the league.
Very underrated.
Very underrated.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would prefer going to Denver. If I was in the situation, I would prefer going to Denver to going to DC. So that's me.
That's fair.
So I've got JJ and Caleb sitting at the same level, and Bo Nix right behind that, and the other 3 falling behind that. So I think it sounds like we all agree with the order there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I went through and I looked at who their head coach was, who their offensive coordinator is, and who their quarterback coach was, right? Because those 3 individuals very much influence the quarterback. Now, it could be considered a strike if they have a defensive head coach, i.e. Chicago, with Eberflus, but Eberflus hopefully is smart enough to get good people behind him with Shane Waldron and Kerry Joseph to bring up the young Caleb Williams. Vikings have a good situation because we got KOC, former quarterback. Josh McCown is our QB coach, former quarterback. And Wes Phillips from the Phillips dynasty is our offensive coordinator. He's got a good deal. But I also looked at not only the coaches that surround these young gentlemen, but I looked at who they have. who they have in the way of wide receivers, right? Who are their weapons? Who are they throwing to?
Mhm.
Who they have in the way of tight ends? Who they have in the way of offensive tackles? Because you want bookend tackles to keep your guys alive, right? You prefer an interior O-line that's good too, but that doesn't mean as much as the tackles when it comes to quarterback play. And who are the running backs? Are you going to have a good running game? And that's where the breakdown of who stinks and who doesn't, we pretty much came to the same conclusion, just without the data, is that Chicago's got two outstanding wide receivers, and they just drafted a possible third one. So they're great there. They've got two very good tight ends. They're good there.
They all right.
Their tackles are probably the weakest. Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright, if I've got that right. Braxton Jones ranked 35th in PFF's tackle rankings, and Darnell Wright 52nd. So they're a little weak on that side. But Caleb Williams has mobility. That will be a benefit. He's not a pocket passer, right? A traditional statue style pocket passer. And then when it comes to running backs, you got Braxton Jones, not bad. So Chicago's in a good setup. When it comes to DC, the Washington Commanders, they have Dan Quinn, who's coached before, Cliff Kingsbury, who's coached before, is the OC, and David Blau, former quarterback, is a QB coach. So they got good management so far. But when it comes to wide receivers, they've only basically got one that's any decent, and that's Terry McLaurin. Now, whether they drafted one and I missed it, that's quite possible. Tight ends, they've got nobody worth talking about. None. They stink. Highest ranked tight end on the team was 46th last year out of tight ends. When it comes to tackles, they've got a couple decent tackles, and Charles Leno Jr. and Andrew Wiley. So they're okay. Ranked 28 and 33. So they're not bad considering there's 64 tackles that start on average. Running backs, they have Brian Robinson, and that's about it. They got Austin Eckler behind that, and Austin didn't play so well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they put that together, and it's going to be a system that is more tailored because of Kingsbury to what Jaden Daniels does. So I think that transition will actually be easier. It's not as good, but I think it's going to be easier just as long as Jaden Daniels stays alive. We all know he's slight of frame and he takes hits and he looks
takes hits. He doesn't avoid hits.
Yeah, and he looks like Wile E. Coyote when he gets hit. So he's not Caleb Williams or JJ McCarthy, but he's not the bottom. Now the bottom I give to Drake May. Now, and it's not because Drake May doesn't show the promise. He needs some help with his footwork, but Drake May's got an awesome arm. He is more the statuesque style of quarterback. He can run, but he's more the pocket. He goes into Jared Mayo, Alex Van Pelt, and TC McCartney, whoever that is, as his QB coach. He has wide receivers. He's got Demario Douglas and Kendricks Bourne is the next best. There's not much there. Tight ends, he's got Hunter Henry is probably the best, and then Austin Hooper. When it comes to tackles, they've got Mike Onwenu was ranked 29th, and then their other one is ranked 41st, or ranked 55th, pardon me. Okafor. And then when at running backs, they have Ramondre Stevenson, pretty good, and Antonio Gibson, pretty good. But they have nothing. They're brand new. They're going to be figuring it out. It's nothing. If he doesn't die in his first year, he has a chance if he doesn't get ruined. But that has to be the worst situation. The Falcons, Penix, he's probably in the best situation because all he's going to do is hold a clipboard.
Do they still have clipboards for backup quarterbacks now?
Oh, they have the tablets.
Tablets,
Oh,
man.
okay. Yeah.
But
Robots.
I know there's some young football fans who are like, what is this clipboard analogy they keep using? What is
But-
that?
What's a chalkboard?
they have Drake London as their best wide receiver, and then it drops off severely from that. They got Kyle Pitts as generational tight end, even though he isn't employed to be that way. And then by employed, I mean used correctly. And their tackles are good. Caleb McGarry and Jake Matthews, 20th and 30th ranked overall. And their running backs, they have number 7, Tyler Algier. So they've got a good situation, but he's not going to play because he's going to sit behind Kirk Cousins. And like, I mentioned earlier, Kirk Cousins may not be healthy. Kirk Cousins is healthy enough that during the first OTAs, they have film of him throwing to the receivers. So he is doing that. But being able to, take a couple steps back and launch it with your arm is a little bit different, at 3/4 speed is a little bit different than game time on a ruptured Achilles. So we'll see there. And then you get Denver. Now, this is where I agree with you, Pay. As much as I dislike Sean Payton, this may be the best setup right below Chicago and Minnesota, because he's coming in. He's got Cortland Sutton as his number 1 wide receiver. Josh Reynolds is his wide receiver 2, which is okay. No superstars there, but they're not bad. You have they got a horrible tight end, and I don't know if they drafted one. They should have if they didn't. And they've got a couple so-so tackles. Garrett Bowles ranked 19th, and Mike McGlinchey 39th. And which I shouldn't say so-so. That's pretty decent ranking. And then their running backs, they have Samaje Perine as their number 1 running back. So that's a good situation. I think Sean Payton is invested in it. They like the short, controlled game. I would put Nix in that 3rd spot, and then cascade the other 2, whether it be Jaden Daniels or Drake May. Well, probably Jaden Daniels next and Drake May last, without a doubt. But you got to look at the whole picture as to who's coaching, who's blocking, who's catching to come up with it. And we came up with it. So
All that to say, it's the Bears' turn again.
hey, I can't wait to see him play. I can't wait to see him play. I can't wait to see him get sacked either. But
What you said about tackles is incredibly correct. Darnell Wright, our number 1 draft pick last year, our right tackle, he's okay. He's good. I mean, he's not elite. He wasn't the number 1 tackle off the board in that draft, which irked me a little bit.
but he was drafted last year.
Yes.
Okay, it takes 3. As I preach, because I'm the big ground belly guy, I preach it takes offensive linemen 3 years to develop minimum. It's usually 3 to 4, but 3 to get to an NFL level.
Yeah.
So if he did all right last year, which he ranked 52nd, expect an improvement this year.
I think and Braxton on the left side, if you put him in any other locker room, I don't think he's a starter, or any other good team's locker room. To be honest, I don't think he's a starter. But he played. We were able to hide him pretty much like that. He didn't have a lot of miscues, a lot of glaring errors. So if we can strike lightning in a bottle again in that respect, we can mess around and have some keep Caleb clean for the most part, and let him go out there and have the first 30 touchdown season for a Bears quarterback ever, or the first 4,000 yard passing season for a Bears quarterback. It's possible.
But what I like about Caleb is his mobility. He likes to scramble when things go wrong. And that's an invaluable asset.
I agree. All right. So let's start moving over to our second segment of the day. But before we do that, I want to make sure that all of our listeners take this time out to hear a message from our partners, our advertising partners. If you're listening on audio format, if you're watching live, just stick around for 1 second. We'll be right back.
Oh wow.
For the viewers, they just saw a bear scratching his backside against a tree. How many of you saw that clip of, I think it was at the Cincinnati Zoo, where the duck family with the ducklings flew into the bear enclosure and they were swimming in the pond? And
Oh,
the bear-
yeah.
And the bear went in there and had a little snack.
Hey, you know what? Bears got to eat too, right?
Yep. And there were 5-year-olds watching from some kindergartner class, and they were screaming. It's nature, baby. That's the way it works.
Yeah, man. Hey, bears are hungry. Bears are hungry, and we're hungry for a playoff appearance coming up this season. Speaking of that, so the NFL schedule gets released next week. I know you all are super excited about that. Every football fan is. It's a schedule release day is another NFL holiday. We don't know. We know who our teams are going to play, but I did want to ask you guys a week removed, not a week removed, but a week prior to the full release of the schedule. Are there any games that you are hyped for that you like? I cannot wait for this game. It's going to be great. Foster. What game you trying to set your schedule around so far?
Well, it's interesting because we played literally every team that we played in the playoffs. Tampa.
That's what happens when you win the division.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not used to it.
Not
So I
used
don't
to
know
it.
how this playoff stuff works, especially multiple games. But Stafford is coming back to Ford Field again, so that's a interesting one. We go back to San Francisco for one game, so that's another one that's gonna give me PTSD from that. But that's definitely a top two. I think we go back to Dallas too. So yeah, so a lot of traumatic, a lot of trauma in these games. But
So yeah, I have the schedule up for the Detroit Lions, who won the division last year. At home, you got the Bears, Packers, Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, you got the division guys. You got the Jaguars, Rams, Seahawks, Titans, Buccaneers, and Bills. You will be hopping a charter to go see the Cardinals, the Texans, the Colts, the Frisco 49ers, and those boys. June. Foster already said he can't wait for the Dallas game. What about you?
That Seahawks game is circled for sure, and the Dallas game, and every division game we have.
of course,
that Dallas game is going to be epic. Yeah, that's probably going to be a primetime game again, a division winner. Followed going to see Dallas. All the Dallas games are in primetime. I feel like
That's Jerry Jones, baby.
Yeah, I mean, when you're the most powerful owner and America's team, you get all the prime slots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same question to you, Dave. You got your schedule coming up. You got to set your whole fall and winter around it. What are you looking forward to?
Atlanta Falcons coming to Minnesota.
Why is that? Wait. I gotta stop you. I gotta stop you right there, Dave. The Arizona Cardinals going into your building is a game that you got your sights set on. Why?
I said, for the Cardinals?
Yes.
When they come here, I want to see if that dysfunction's gotten any better. But that's not the game I have my sights set on.
Okay. Maybe I heard you wrong.
Yeah, I said Atlanta Falcons,
Oh,
The
that's
other
even
bird.
worse.
another bird team. And we all hate bird teams. The reason is Kirk Cousins will be returning to US Bank Stadium. And it's going to be interesting to see the reaction of the crowd, whether we have JJ McCarthy starting by then. I suspect we've gone through a couple exercises of mocking the schedule. And I suspect that game will be in the second half of the season because they'll want to match JJ McCarthy versus Kirk Cousins. And that the drama, it's going to be a prime time game, and the drama will be high. The stories will be flowing, as well as the beer and alcohol, and it will be an absolute blast to watch. And hopefully the Minnesota Vikings demolish the Dirty Birds from Atlanta. That's the one game I probably care the most about, other than, of course, the division games. Those are going to be big as well.
Yeah, Atlanta. You got a little revenge to get. Not necessarily revenge. I don't know if you want to call it that, but hey, Kurt, we're moving on. Just so you know. See, we got somebody new, younger, and better,
Mm-hmm.
and better looking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can say that. Yeah, we've all been there. For me, for my Chicago Bears, the number one game that I cannot wait to see, other than obviously the division games are go without saying, but the game I have circled, and I cannot wait till they tell me when I'm going to be going to this game. It's an away game. I'll be going out there to Arizona to see my Bears beat up on those Cardinals. Reason being, one of the show's biggest fans, Mel Emotion, she's a Cardinal fan. She bet the show for that game. We Bears lose, we got to do our recap show in Arizona Cardinal garb. That's not going to happen. That's not happening whatsoever. I cannot wait for this game because I got to let her know that, hey, the Bears are back. We back up, just like Strang said. For any of the teams coming into Soldier Field for the 2024 season, we pretty much got a light home schedule. I mean, let me read off some of these names to you. Los Angeles Rams, Jacksonville Jaguars, New England Patriots. As you all said, they ain't got no boundary team other than Drake May and Ramondre Stevenson.
Matt Judon. That's my guy.
Okay, Judon. I forgot about the defense, right? Matt Judon. Don't disrespect him. The Tennessee Titans, the Patriots. I believe I said them already. The Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I mean, and the Seahawks. That's pretty much who's coming into Soldier Field. Did I name a world beater? Anybody? No. I like I said, other than your Detroits, your Minnesotas, and your Green Bays, I don't see there's any reason to why we can't go undefeated at home. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. We can go undefeated at home, baby. I love it. The Bears, none of all of these teams. I didn't name any playoff team. I don't think the Rams and Seahawks made the playoffs last year. Definitely the Panthers and the Patriots didn't. The Jacksonville Jaguars just missed out. So the Detroit Lions are the only playoff team coming in to see Chicago.
Let me ask you something, Pay, before you continue there, though, sir. You mentioned the word world beater, correct?
That's correct.
Do you think any of those opposing teams look at Chicago as a world beater?
Well, it's not the Chicago Bears. The Bears do not concern themselves with the opinions of sheep. Let's put that out there. Let's put that out there. You saw what those ducks did. You saw what happened to those ducks. You come into our house, you're gonna be bear lunch. You should not think about the Bears as world beaters, right? We haven't been to the playoffs since 2000, I think 2000. We've had cluster F after cluster F. You should not, but it's a new day now. It's a new day. We've got him. We got the prodigal son, Caleb Williams, coming in as a quarterback. We got Roma Duzier, who's going to be a future top 10 wide receiver. We got Keenan Allen, who's a great wide receiver right now. We've got DJ Moore, who is a very good wide receiver. And our defense, there shouldn't be too much regression on our defense. We didn't lead the league in like takeaways or sacks, anything like that. We were just really steady. So I don't think there's going to be any coming back to the field on that side of the ball. There's no reason for me to believe that this team can't scratch out 6 wins at minimum at home. We should have the best home field advantage this whole season. That's based on looking at the schedule. I'm not saying we're going to turn into a juggernaut. I don't want you to take that and run with it. I'm saying based on how well we are, how good we are, and the opponents we have coming into the building, there's no reason why we shouldn't 6-7 wins at minimum. Now, like I said, the game that I can't wait to see is going to Arizona. Arizona has a beautiful building that they play in. Those Cardinals, I think it's something bank stadium, I forget. But those Cardinals gonna be for a rude awakening. Shout out to Mail in Motion. We got something coming for you.
Well, with all that, I got a question for everybody. How many primetime games do you think you're all going to get, not counting Thanksgiving?
Good question, Dave. I'll let the Lions filibuster for a second. So I definitely think the Bears and Packers are going to be on primetime again, possibly a Thursday game. The Bears do not play the DC Commanders again this season, so that's a Thursday game out the window. If you remember, those two teams played on Thursday the last 2 seasons. I can kind of see the Bears playing Detroit on a Monday. Maybe not Detroit, but either one of our teams, Detroit or Minnesota. I can see the Bears playing Green Bay and another one of the division teams in prime time. So that's 2. Throw in another one, possibly. Oh, we do actually play the DC Commanders. Wow, I missed that. That's 3 years in a row. Why? Why do we have to see them? Why? I can see maybe a third primetime game, maybe San Francisco 49ers. We got to go fly out there to the Bay Area to see them. That's possibly 3.
Well, we had 5 last year. I suspect we'll have 4. One of those being against Atlanta. Another possible one, maybe early week 1. Sam Darnold versus the Jets. We have that one is a possibility. There's going to be probably a couple others. At least one of them is going to be interdivision, whether it be Green Bay or Chicago or Detroit, because they won last year and we came so close to beating you both games. It could be prime time. Well, who knows? But I suspect we'll have 4 prime time games between Thursday, Monday, and Sunday nights.
What's up, Campo? So Minnesota did come very close to sweeping the Bears. They didn't. The Bears came very close to sweeping the Vikings. That's how I look at it. What about the Lions? How many primetime games are you all guesstimating right now?
Jeez, that stuff changes. Like it just depends on how the season goes. You know how it goes. Several times last season where they changed the game times for us. Like that's just because of how things were going in the matchup. So that's very hard to tell. So who knows?
Oh, come on, June. You can get
June.
better.
Come on, man.
That's the end of the season shifting. But how many are going to be scheduled when it comes out next Wednesday is what we're hearing.
Probably at least 3. I would say 3.
Dan Campbell mic'd up is going to be a thing all 2024.
Hey, I don't know.
At least, yes, I'm with you, Dave. At least 5 on it.
Maybe so. I don't know.
That's
I
not
mean-
including Thanksgiving.
You're talking about. Well, I excluded the game from Thanksgiving, but
That's
Yeah,
Mondays, Sundays, and Thursdays. I figure at least 5 of them are going to be.
And don't forget, the NFL is doing another Christmas game this year. What's wrong? Why is the NFL bullying the NBA like that? But it's
Because
for another
they
day.
own the viewership. They own, hey, when the NFL draft does more viewers than most everything else in TV,
yeah.
other than NFL games and NFL playoffs, they own it. It's bread and circuses. You know, everybody compares the United States, you know, and they go back and, you know, grown men are asking, you know, what caused the fall of Rome, and they're comparing it to the United States. Well, we're at the point of, you know, bread and circuses, and the circuses for us is the NFL, and everybody loves it. So it's going to be a big deal. And I think Detroit is going to be a bigger deal because of their success last year and what looks like a continuing of said success, much to the, you know, disheartenedness of the rest of the division. Me and Pay in particular.
It's just the NFL just has some type of manifest destiny. They just got to say, you know what, that holiday right there, let's take that too. Let's just take that too. NBA, y'all, you had it long enough. It's ours now. We're planting our flag.
And baseball,
Baseball, yeah, okay. Baseball, they can have Halloween.
now let's
I
talk.
think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk Thanksgiving.
Mm.
A couple of our mock schedules had us playing Detroit in the first game on Thanksgiving and Chicago playing in the third game on Thanksgiving or the second against Dallas.
That would be smart on the NFL's part. Put the best division right there all through their premier schedule day, which is Thanksgiving. NFC North is the best division right now. I mean, does anybody disagree? Anybody? I'll let you someone tell me I'm wrong. Nope.
Better
All
than
right.
the East?
Yes.
Yeah.
With the Commanders.
Overall? Yeah, I know the Eagles, but the Eagles and Cowboys.
Yeah.
Virginia-
I remember the Giants. And the
Giants.
Commanders.
The Giants, and yeah, they're bringing it down. Yeah,
I thought about that first, and then I thought about Giants and the Redskins, and
I'm so used to the AFC East being good too, like with the
No,
Patriots.
you're not used to the AFC East being good. You're used to the Patriots being good.
Yeah, true.
And everybody,
That will be smart, Dave. That will be smart. If you put 3 of the NFC teams on Thanksgiving, that's good marketing. No one wants to see the Packers anyway.
and I could also see Atlanta at Dallas on Thanksgiving. And I can't wait to watch that game. That's another revenge game. That's Mike Zimmer versus Kirk Cousins. Mike Zimmer was going to be out for blood. Guaranteed.
Mike Zimmer going back. Oh yeah, Mike Zimmer, former Vikings coach. Okay,
Head coach who
Yeah.
said when Kirk Cousins was brought in that he was going to be the end of his career. And sure enough.
The Falcons' home schedule reads like this: they've got the Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, Buccaneers, Cowboys, defending world champions Chiefs, the Chargers, New York Giants, Seattle Seahawks, and the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town. They might have a couple of national televised games as well. Yeah, I see a couple of them.
Because you got to think the NFL goes by revenge games. They go by good teams versus good teams. They go by storylines. They're looking for storylines. Obviously, Atlanta won't play Dallas on Thanksgiving because it's an Atlanta game. So that's going to be another primetime game. There's a storyline there. There's a storyline if we play the Jets in prime time because on week 1, because it's Sam Darnold returning to the Jets. against Aaron Darnold or against Aaron Rodgers. Is Aaron Rodgers healthy? Does he smoke too much peyote? You know, all those sort of things come along. And that's how, even though a lot of it's done via computer now, which does a much better job, all those things are factored in. They're thrown into the algorithm, what storylines we can come up with. Because, you know, with the old joke about the NFL has a script. Well, they're writing all this stuff into the algorithm of what can we bring? Now, for you, Pay, I think you're going to have a few more than you think because everybody wants to see Caleb Williams. He was the #1 draft pick, right? He's the quote, savior of Chicago, right? So everybody, the nation is going to be interested. Thus, primetime games.
Prodigal son. You're right. You're right. Caleb Williams could be that lightning rod to take us right in front of America. You know, I'm hearkening back to a time where everybody just had one TV in the living room and everybody just watched TV at the same time right after dinner. That doesn't exist anymore. But you're right. Caleb Williams could be that lightning rod for the NFL to just put the Bears right on every screen that has NFL licensing. I'm not going to debate. I'm not going to debate it, Dave. I would love to see it. It's our time.
Detroit, I think it's Dan Campbell that brings them in, and that the team is so good across the board that they're living up to what they preach. And that's something, the hard-nosed, tough, blue-collar, bite your kneecaps off. You know, it may be followed by a zombie movie or whatever, but it's going to happen. It's because Detroit's good. And then, of course, Green Bay, because there's so many Packers fans or sycophants out there that love Green Bay.
That's true. And so the word of the day is get off that narcotic. Stop being a Packer fan.
That's right.
June and Foster. For all those who are interested in great football content with a Detroit spin, where can they get that at?
Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. Also subscribe to Motor City Metrics and check out Bleachers to Speakers and Post Game Podcast on the Bleachers to Speakers YouTube channel. You'll see a plethora of featured profile players that Foster talks about, whether it's NBA prospects or NFL prospects or free agents or whatsoever. Just good athletes that he's talking about there. You can also catch us on all podcast platforms for your audio feeds. That's Spotify, Apple Podcast, whatever. If they play a podcast via audio, we're there. Just type in Bleachers to Speakers, follow us, download the episodes.
Dave, what do you got cooking up at Vikings versus Skull?
Well, tonight, here in about 45 minutes, we're going to go live with the Real Forno show, and we're asking the question, did Kwesi Adofo-Mensah screw up the compensatory pick formula? We don't know. We're going to dive into this secret sauce that the NFL talks about and how they figure out who gets a compensatory pick. And we need it because we've already traded away most of our picks for next year. So it's going to be interesting. Everybody can find us over at Vikings First and Skull, just like it's written right there as our YouTube channel. We are everywhere that there are podcasts, and you can also find us if you go to VikingsFirstandSkull.com. That drives you to the Fans First Sports Network's website, Minnesota Vikings. We're there as well, and that's a great website to get all the news, your NFL news and all sports news, because they cover just about every single sport, and it's an awesome place. That's where you can find us.
Just like all the three other gentlemen said, you can find the Bear Claw, your Chicago sports, the voice of Chicago sports for the Bears. Find us right here anywhere you get your pods: Apple Pod, Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, and anywhere else that plays podcasts. If you want to see my mug talk about this stuff, catch me on YouTube at Frustrated Chicago. We're also on TikTok at Chicago Bear Claw. You can get all of your Bear tidbits from right there as well. Thanks, gentlemen. Thank you for watching the show, Mary. Appreciate that comment. Yeah, like I said, we can get all your tidbits about Chicago football, most especially the Bears, Chicago baseball, most especially the White Sox, and Chicago basketball right there at Frustrated Chicago, as it says on that scroll down there. YouTube/Frustrated Chicago. Fellas, let's start bringing it home. What do we say? That was my fault. That was a terrible traffic control on my part.
You gotta coach us through this now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Detroit fans, what do we say? It was a little stronger last time. Dave, what have we got?
Puck the Fackers.
Woo! I like that. I like that energy. Bear that.
The Bears. The Bears.